Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the RotoWire Premier League DFS show. My name is Jack Burkart. You can find me on Twitter at Jack Burkart. I'm here to break down a rare, but not soon to be rare because we got all the holiday fixtures, midweek Premier League slate, which is very exciting. Joined as usual by Ryan Belongia. Ryan, you were tilting a little bit when I was talking to you about some of your DFS results, but we have to talk about how lucky Arsenal Football Club are getting the late smash and grab win against Luton Town after leaking 3 goals to them.
Yeah, that made the day a whole lot better. Another late Declan Rice winner. I mean, what a signing he's proved to be. A I've being a Declan fan for so long. It was great to see him come to Arsenal. He scored that 90-some minute winner against United. He scores this one. Like you said, it looks like Arsenal are dead. Kai Havertz is, looking like I don't know. He's looking better. At least another big goal from Kai. I mean, yeah, it's one of those wins that you need to have if you're going to win the title. Definitely like pretty lucky, you could say. Raya made a couple bad mistakes. Really tough day for Raya. Might have to bring Ramsdale back into the fold if he can concentrate for a full 90 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. Lucky. I thought Arsenal showed good fight.
That's the good punditry right there. You say
Maybe a little bit fortunate. Yeah.
they showed heart.
They did.
No, I think every title winning team books wins like this. You know, they make mistakes and then they just have to dig deep in and make up for it. I mean, I agree with you. Declan Rice is incredible. And to the Kai Havertz haters, I think you should maybe consider bigger than an 8-game sample. The player has been good for a long time in various teams and just had a bad patch of form. I mean, he's kind of like a luxury midfielder, but he can make a difference, I think. If he's scoring goals, it just adds so much.
Yeah, really nice to see him doing well after that nightmare stretch. Yeah, I don't know. I'm happy. A bit sad because I've been like I was telling you, I lost in Champions League last week, lost in NFL on Sunday. Just a tough run. Lost today. I had some chances. I had some good lineups. I had some chances today, but not in the end. Not after Ross Barkley scored, and I forget what else. But yeah, I don't know. I think this. I mean, it's nice to have a 4-game midweek slate. I thought it might be a 6-game slate, but it didn't include the City game or I think United Chelsea game. I guess it's nice not to have to worry about City. This slate, I mean, yeah, you have the odds up. Liverpool with a 2.6 total against Sheffield, who are, the worst team we've seen probably in a while in the Premier League. So is it a slate where you just want to jam a bunch of Liverpool? I don't know. You break it down. You've looked at it a bit more than I have.
Yeah, if we're looking at the odds screen that we have on the YouTube video, we got Liverpool 80% implied win probability and just a ridiculously high 2.6 implied goal total. Liverpool are on the road and they're getting rated like this. So I am terrified for poor Sheffield United if they don't show anything more and have to play at Anfield because that would become a very silly betting lines. So yeah, Liverpool are going to dominate the discussion, and their players are expensive but affordable, like not like too ridiculously expensive. You got Mo Salah at 10.6K. That's a pricey, at minus 165 goal scoring odds. But you also have Darwin Nunez at 9.1K. Maybe Liverpool rotate and you can play a Jota spot. Not sure about minutes. Luis Diaz at around 8.4K, if I remember right. So there's going to be ways to play multiple Liverpool players in any lineup, and I think that's going to be a dominant strategy. But looking at other games, we have 3, slight favorites playing at home. Brighton are hosting Brentford. That has the second highest implied goal total. So Brentford are actually getting a fairly high goal total for being road underdogs at 1.3. So that should be an interesting matchup. Brighton are kind of one of these great back and forth teams, good to target in GPPs, usually good game environments as well. And then we kind of have 2 games that don't project as nice, but there might be some interesting players. Fulham are hosting Nottingham Forest, and Crystal Palace are hosting Bournemouth. We're looking at 2.5, 2.6 totals. Nothing too exciting there. When I was looking at cash games, Ryan, I kind of just clicked on a barbell lineup. just jam some studs at each position who are expensive. And then I found value in the other positions. And I thought, okay, this is fine. I did some more research, and I think that actually might be the optimal construction. I was going through a lot of names which were interesting, but I truly think this is a slate for the GPP bros. So I don't know. What do you think of? I think you have a lot of options in GPPs, but you're the expert in that realm. So what do you think?
Well, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on cash, actually. It doesn't seem as straightforward to me. Like, my first question would be, who's like the first guy in your lineup, regardless of position, or the first two guys in your lineup? I mean,
Yeah, it's not so it's not so easy. I didn't really think that anyone is a clear play in cash games. And so when something like this happens, like there's a lot of players who seem fine, but I have minutes worries. I kind of just trickle up the board and just take the slam dunk best plays at each position. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll click Mo Salah because he has the best goal scoring odds. But I think you could also click on Darwin Nunez. And one of the decisions you'll have to make is, do you want to play two expensive Liverpool players, or do you want to play an expensive Liverpool player and Michael Olise? Because I think you're going to play Trent Alexander-Arnold at 8.2K in this slate. I've been targeting fullbacks against Sheffield United all season, and even the most ho-hum fullbacks have gotten extremely good results. It just feels like a really good spot for Trent, taking set pieces. Liverpool are going to dominate possession. I mean, maybe you believe in a new manager bump, quote unquote, for Sheffield, but I really want to play Trent. I really want to play Mo or Darwin, and then I really want to play Olise. So once you do that, you're spending about 60% of your salary. You just have to find value everywhere else, and I think there's enough to make that type of construction work. A lot of mid-range plays, I'm worried about their minutes, like Dominic Soboslai, for example. He's been subbed off at the 65-minute mark very frequently. A lot of the, like Andreas Pereira, 6.2K, takes set pieces for Fulham, home favorite. He's being subbed at the 65, 70th minute mark, and fixture congestion is becoming a real thing. So when there are playable guys low, iffy things going on with median range of outcomes and minutes in the mid range, it just sort of leads me naturally to a studs and duds build. But I don't know. What do you think of that?
okay, no, like, yeah, no, now I think we're pretty much on the same page. I was worried that you were going to try to sell me on Pascal Gross, but you didn't even bring him up.
No, you
So,
can't play. You can't play Pascal. Okay, your 9.9K Pascal gross, I think, is like not very responsible. As João Pedro might start with him, and he'll take penalties. So there goes gross. 15% of the time gets you out of there. It's going to depend on his position. It's an all right game environment, but you have to compare him to Darwin or Liverpool, and like Darwin could easily get a goal or assist. Like that's going to be the most likely outcome for him. He also has a great shooting floor because he always misses, so he takes plenty of attempts. And of course, we'll just take him being more efficient. Mo always playing 90 minutes and on penalties for a team that's going to possess the ball for 70% of the match. That has to be a good play as well. So I don't think paying up for like a Gross or an Embuemo in this spot, that's like a very contrarian type of option. But I think from the cash point of view, just get your Liverpool players, get a player like Olise who can absolutely dominate, and then just find enough to get by. Maybe you can get 4 or 5 points out of some of these punts, and just hope the studs take you there.
okay, yeah, I think I'm with you. What do you think about a $7,500 Willian who, I don't know, he broke my heart taking those penalties on the showdown slate on Monday. I was I was talking to my friends, and they're like, Pereira's on pens, right? I'm like, yeah, I think so. And we convinced ourselves Pereira was on pens, all faded Willian, and then he made two pens.
Oh,
So yeah,
geez.
I don't know.
I That's just from a cash point of view. I mean, if he's not going to take set pieces, he's on pens. That game has a low implied goal total. I think it gets really interesting. So I'm going to push back and ask you to talk about tournaments a little bit, because when the dominant construction is a barbell, I'm always wondering in tournaments if I can play a balanced lineup and outscore the studs, because it, you're just when you're punting at three lineup spots, or you're playing like a Lewis Cook in a midfield spot, you're sort of losing a lot of upside. And there are definitely good players in the mid range on this slate, right? We have all of the Brighton forwards who are not Pascal Gross. You got Evan Ferguson. You like Simon Adingra more than me, but he's at 6,600. He's a good play. You have Karu Mitoma at 6.9K. You have Willian, who I think is a fine GPP play, especially if he might take a corner or two, plays most of the minutes, and then takes penalties. So I'm wondering, are there enough mid-range players, and can they keep up with the Liverpool assets, or even outscore them a little bit? Can they, if Olise scores 16 points, can you find someone 3,000 cheaper who can put up 25 points? You can kind of get ahead of those lineups. If Mo Salah scores 20 points, is there enough goals in the 7K range that you can pass them? That's what I'm wondering, and that seems like it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's contrarian, but it seems like a potentially profitable way to explore tournaments.
Yeah, I think there is. So like, who do you have to? I guess who do you have to? Who are the punts going to be in this studs and duds lineup? Like, at least for tournaments, I see we have what, 4,500 Jimenez. Like, are people
Yeah.
going to play that? No, like you said,
Yeah.
spend up twice at forward. Can you spend up twice at forward and play Elise and Trent? I guess you
No.
can. No,
How would you? You're
no,
spending.
you can't.
Yeah.
Right. So who are people going to punt?
So yeah, Jacob McWhirter in here saying jamming Raul Jimenez. I had Raul Jimenez in my dummy lineup. I noticed that all the computer players in cash when Simon Godos came in, someone was a late scratch. They all played Godos, so there has to be like something in his historical production that makes him seem all right. So he's at 4.8K, D over Reed at 4.4K. It's looking like a situation where if you play Salah, Olise, and TAA, you're going to have to punt at a forward spot. And Raul with plus 200 goal scoring odds, he's a home favorite. I'm not super excited about it, but I think that's what you're
So,
going
yeah,
to have to
really.
do.
So like, and he seems like one of the only punts, I guess. So like from a tournament point of view, like you really don't have to fade that much,
Hmm.
and to make that construction, to make it harder for it to get there. Like you said, if can you find enough of these mid-range plays? I think you can. Jack, how is one a GPP, bro? I see the question in the chat. I thought it was a good question to ask you.
Oh, I don't know. I just use it like colloquially. I don't know what it technically means. Ryan, I know a GPP bro when I see it. I'll be like the Supreme Court on pornography. You are one. You make your living on that big flagship GPP usually. So I always I
Okay.
always trust your advice on the in these sort of formats quite a bit. It's formats where you have to value not you have to fade some of the best plays often to be quite successful, higher variance spots.
Yeah, okay, so this slate, like, it's tough because just looking at it in a vacuum, I would want to jam the Liverpool guys. I would want to play Alexander Arnold, and I do kind of like the spot for Fulham, and they have a forward who's 4,500. So, if I'm just playing this slate against myself, trying to score the highest score, like that seems like a pretty good strategy.
Hmm.
Um, so, you feel like a lot of people would think that. Yeah, so I think a good start for tournaments would be to fade one of the 10K guys, maybe fade that cheaper forward range just to get off the construction. And you have, a couple advantages. You'll be different, with guys that aren't as popular and a different construction. Um, yeah, I like a couple of the Brighton guys, like you said. I don't know how you can't like a Dingra. I mean, guy plays 90 minutes for a good team and he's cheap. Seems pretty talented. Look at that, 90 minutes in like 5
5 straight
straight.
games.
Sign
Yeah.
me up. Sign me up for a Dingra at 6,600. I might have to take a chance on Willian. Uh, Nobody's gonna play him. I mean, not nobody, but you know what I mean.
Well, Ryan, what would you tell me if I told you that the highest rated non-Liverpool goal scorer is 7,100 Odsonne Edouard? He's a name I frequently landed on a lot last year when he was much cheaper. I mean, 7,100 with popular Olise, fade a Liverpool forward.
That sounds like a great play to me.
Yeah, I mean, who's gonna click that? I think
I
you're right though. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, like, not enough people will click that. Yeah, sounds like a good play to me. I'll play him.
Yeah, so if I was gonna play a lot of entries into a larger entry GPP, I think my strategy would just be to embrace variance, probably just exclude Mo Salah because he's going to be quite popular. I don't know if he's going to be too popular or not. I can't measure this too accurately, but there's so many good plays in the mid range that I really feel like there's a good chance that some combination of those mid range plays are going to show up. Like if you play Mo, you're going to have to get different in other parts of the construction because there's going to be like a lot of overlapping ownership if you're, taking a lineup that plays two expensive Liverpool forwards and then plays Trent, or if you do like a one expensive forward and play Olise. Like it's just going to be tough to win. I think I was talking to you about this, at least in the showdown format. Like I spent months just playing really chalky, and then like my script would hit like this 1-0, and I'm like, well, what the hell? I'm not even getting a lineup into the top 3%, right? This is what happens when you play the chalk and the chalk gets there. Like you just have to get so lucky in all these other marginal spots. I see a path of least resistance in attacking the mid-range forwards, at least in the main entry $16 GPP or whatever it is this week.
Yeah, me too. And then you got to pray that Jimenez doesn't score. That's step one, and then you should be good after that.
Yeah. I'm not too. I think I can pray that Jimenez doesn't score. I think sometimes we run bad, Ryan, but I don't think. Hopefully, we don't run that bad. I mean, plus 200. Maybe I should say a couple prayers, light a candle.
Yeah, sorry. I was just thinking, what do you do if Tsimikas starts?
That is a very difficult matter as well. So if we look at the lineups, Adam is projecting Joe Gomez to start. Tsimikas has started the last 3 matches for Liverpool, I think playing 90 minutes in each of them. And I think he has a 75-minute start beforehand. It's just a crowded fixture schedule for Liverpool. I don't know when they can expect Robertson back. If Tsimikas plays as well, though, it's very, very difficult to play him or Trent. It's difficult to play both him and Trent. One thing I'd be tempted to do in that case is one way that you can wiggle $1,500 free is by downgrading from Mo Salah and playing Darwin Nunez. If you take a look at the goal scoring odds, all right, well, Mo Salah is minus 165 and Darwin is minus 120. That's about an 8% difference. And I know it really feels like, a star like Salah always gets there, but Darwin has a decent floor, I think. They have similar floor peripherals. They collect fouls and they collect shots at about the same rate. You don't necessarily have those penalty outs, but if you could free up that money by going down to Darwin, I think that would be enough to upgrade a second defender to get up to Tsimikas. I would make it a priority. I just think attacking fullbacks against Sheffield, just sign me up. I don't really have a quantitative reason other than it's literally worked all year. Sheffield are terrible. It's probably going to keep on working.
Yeah, I know. I just bring it up. It'd be annoying, to have to pay for Trent and Tsimikas, especially. I know he's been better and more consistent lately, but he's a guy that always worries me. We've seen the early sub before. Now his price is all the way up there. I think you're right. Like you probably have to if he's going to play 90 minutes, you're going to want to play him. So for cash games, I think you'd have to play both Liverpool defenders. I would want to at least.
He's 6K, right? Like there's no one in the 6K range that's much of a good play, and I think.
Well,
I think it's like
68.
60. Oh, 68. Oh, I thought he was 62 when I was.
68.
68. It's so
He's getting up
annoying.
there
Oh,
for a player that's like as annoying as he is.
yeah. Well, Ryan, what's going on with Liverpool's set pieces? Because like Szoboszlai has been getting subbed off more frequently. I've had a busy semester, so I'm struggling to like watch these games and notice all of the patterns. Do you have like a read on what the Liverpool set piece situation is? Because like nothing would be more tilting than paying 6,800 for Tsimikas, and then Szoboszlai and Trent are taking all of the set pieces, right? Because you literally have to compare. If you can play Tsimikas, you can play Szoboszlai in a midfield spot. Again, Szoboszlai, he's been getting subbed off early lately. I don't really know why. I don't know. Do
Yeah,
you have a read on that Liverpool situation?
yeah. Szoboszlai, he doesn't really take too many sets. Is it like Tsimikas? He seems to take all those left-sided corners. Trent's been taking the shots. He scored with one last game, hit the post. the other game, like Trent's going to take those shots. And I'd be confident that Tsimikas takes the left-sided corners. I don't know look, the numbers, what do the numbers say? Yeah, Szoboszlai looks like he's taken one here and there, but
Yeah, the
I don't
trend is
know.
he's become a more peripheral player on the set pieces, and I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I don't know enough ball. Like, I don't know. Like, some teams change their set piece setup like very, very frequently, and it's sometimes I wonder, should I know? Like, oh, should I have known that Szoboszlai is going to take set pieces because of whatever weird matchup on the left for Tsimikas that they don't want him committed up the field? It seems
Yeah,
like I want to trust the fullbacks to do it. We have a 3-game sample, but there has to be some fragility at least.
yeah, it's pretty much, I don't know, for as long as I can remember under Klopp, Robertson takes the left-sided corners pretty much always. Tsimikas has pretty much always. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Tr-
I wouldn't
tr-
be too worried about it. As far as Szoboszlai is concerned, yeah, I expected him to be playing more minutes. I mean, I played
Mhm,
him on both of these recent slates when he got subbed, like expecting him to play more because he hadn't played midweek.
mhm.
And they're still subbing him early. I don't know. Liverpool have a lot of central midfielders, so I guess it'll probably just keep happening no matter who starts. They have like a ton of guys that need minutes, are good enough to be out there.
Mhm.
That's all that I think it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, for the set pieces, I think Tsimikas is always going to split because he's the only one that's left-footed. It's just the same as Robertson taking all those corners. So
Yeah, he's
that's why
also
you would
something
want to
of a
play him.
specialist. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just looking at some earlier game logs, and or especially early in the season, which I think is more imprinted on my head. Like, you have
Where
situations
he
where
he
it was
took him
a
over
three-way.
Alexander Arnold, kind of.
Yeah.
It looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. But I mean, with Alexander Arnold scoring from free kicks, he's going to have priority on the shots.
Yeah. I want to play Trent anyways, but I don't know. I thought it was a situation that was worth at least digesting a little bit. If you're confident that it's going to keep going to the fullbacks, I feel a little bit better. It wasn't something I was going to fade. Like I wasn't about to suggest that you play Soboslai over Simicast, especially due to the minutes. I think these guys can just get their on floor anyways, even if the set pieces are just like a bonus 2 or 3 points, on average added per slate, and
I mean,
from the floor you're going to be expecting a lot of crosses from open play.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty much the best matchup, right?
Yeah.
They have a 2.6 total. Just can't believe how bad Sheffield's been. You mentioned at the start, maybe is the new manager bump enough to fade Liverpool in GPPs.
Well,
Uh,
we have Carl
oh,
Pappin
we
here.
got
The Sheffield new manager bounce means they lose by 2 instead of 3. Hey, maybe then they
it's
don't pay off those price tags.
it's possible. It's very possible.
Oh man. Well, why don't we keep digging into it? I mean, yeah, I agree that the Liverpool spot is a very elite spot, but like how are you going to approach their forwards in tournaments? So maybe we can actually just like talk about the forward position as a whole. We've been bouncing around a little bit, but I mean, Salah's going to dominate the conversation. Personally, I feel comfortable in top heavy tournaments just not playing Mo Salah, saving the salary. I can get to Simicast a little bit more easily. And I don't know. I'm pretty happy with Darwin Nunez as an option, someone who's been playing at least 80 minutes in his last 5 starts, I think. Again, he is someone who also has a floor. You got Luis Diaz at 8,400. Both of those guys could score braces while Mo only gets like an assist or Mo only gets one goal. Do you share this impression that I have that Mo probably needs more than one goal in order to kill you, especially on a slate where there's a ton of mid-ranged options and his teammates are very good plays?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think you broke it down perfectly. In the bigger top heavy tournaments, yeah, I think I don't mind fading Salah at all. The matchup's so good that any of the Liverpool forwards, like you said, could score a brace. Um, I kind of think Gakpo's going to start. So, like, I don't know, like
9,300.
who will be the lowest owned of the Liverpool forwards? I just mean, I Gakpo, he didn't start the last game, I don't believe. And then and he had a brace in the Europa League before that. I don't know. It just kind of seems like he would start.
Yeah, I think Gakpo would be the lowest one because he's often a rotation risk. I mean, how many times has Gakpo gone, more than 80 minutes in a start for Liverpool? I don't feel like it's a particularly frequent occurrence. And of course, we can check using the RotoWire tools, so we can always just pull that up. I think he would
Look,
be the lowest owned.
he just went 90 in the Europa League. He scored 2 goals.
There you go. I mean, what did the other minutes look like though? So if we pull up his player page, take a look at Gakpo. Dun, dun, dun. All right, maybe it's not as bad as I thought. He gets 83 minutes in the Premier League start. He just hasn't been playing too much, Ryan. I don't know. And you look at these early starts. I guess that again, I think I've watched most of Liverpool, early in the fall. A lot of getting subbed off at the 60th minute, which is quite frustrating. He sometimes does occupy that central midfield role. It depends on the personnel. And you mentioned that's a position where Liverpool have a lot of depth. I think it would be fine though at 9,300. I mean, they're playing freaking Sheffield United, so you just make a bet that he plays 75 minutes and you make your bet and you sleep in it.
Yeah, that's what I think. I just think whoever's going to be the lowest owned of the Liverpool forwards are great tournament plays. It's pretty much as simple as that.
Yeah, I agree. I usually approach these things by fading Mo, and about 60% of the time I'll be tilting in the Discord. So if you want to have a good laugh at my expense, feel free to join in on that. We've talked a lot about these mid-range options. We have João Pedro, 7,900. If he starts, he takes penalties for Brighton, not Pascal Gross, so keep an eye out on that. Ryan, you've already mentioned your love of Willian, even though I think you've disrespected him like a year before in the program. I'll have to unearth that clip. I think that was one of the funnier
I
rants I've ever
apologize
been
though.
on.
I gave like a long apology, like I think months later.
Yeah. Then we have Evan Ferguson. I mean, playing any of the Brighton forwards, I think, is good. Odsonne Edouard, who has the highest non-Liverpool goal scoring odds. Adingra, who I have to come around on. I think I just don't like him because he screwed me over in cash one week, and that's just enough to make you dead to me for a long time. But yeah, I think those are the best options. I don't want to play any of these underdog options, like Anthony Elanga at 7,100 as an underdog against full. I just don't know why you wouldn't play Edouard instead. I don't know. Do any of the underdog teams seem appealing to you? Maybe like a Bournemouth piece or something like that? Or are you going to focus on the favorites?
Yeah,
I can't do it
not
personally.
for tournaments. Like I'm just like for cash, I would say no.
Yeah.
I just You brought up Godo, people playing Godos before, and
Yeah.
I think it was because he split sets in that scenario before because Jensen's out, right? Or what? Jensen
Oh,
was
okay.
out. So I'm pretty sure that's why he got steamed in cash. I mean, who else was going to split sets with Mbuemo? Godos had done it last season,
Hmm.
so I'm
I
guessing
see.
that's what people thought, and maybe he did. I didn't even check. I don't know if he took a corner or not, but
I didn't check.
um, anyways, um, I was just gonna say Adingra. I mean, he seems like a better cash play than Jimenez to me. I mean, if
You have to
if you're
find
gonna get 90
2,100.
minutes, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna get 90 minutes from a Brighton forward who like has a higher, point per minute floor than Jimenez anyways, seems like it would be worth it.
I think you would
Uh,
have to downgrade Mo Salah to Darwin Nunez, but I mean, that's the same thesis of getting up to Simicast, right? You're looking at like getting a 4K defender up to Simicast. You're looking at getting a 4.5K forward up to Adingra. I think
I
Darwin
see.
is where the
Yeah,
money comes from.
I see. No, yeah, it is tough if you're gonna play Salah, Olise and Trent. Yeah,
I
I
mean, maybe
hadn't
you can
really
make it
tried to.
work if you
No, I
really
hadn't
like
tried to
dig deep.
build. I hadn't tried to build the lineup yet, and now that I am trying, it seems pretty tough.
Yeah. So G is in here in the chat. That's his full name. Godos had taken 3 of 4 left-sided corners with Embuemo on the season. So there you go. Well, shout out to Redcoat, Ceramic, and Moneyball, all smarter than me, jamming that guy in the last 5 minutes. Good for them. But I guess you could play him in cash over Raul if you don't want to play Raul Jimenez. That's if you're looking at that construction. Adingra, that's worth thinking about. But if he plays 90 minutes, I might have to capitulate and agree that the game environment is enough that he'll get a better floor than Raul. How do his goal scoring odds compare? If we look up, Adingra is the same goal scoring odds as Raul. So I don't know.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all. He'll have a better floor at least.
I would have expected Jimenez, like maybe, people just finally realized that Jimenez can't score.
Maybe. Also a lower total, right? Like the Brighton total is about a half goal more than Fulham, so that's going to increase everyone's numbers across the board.
Jack, can you click 4,700 Cameron Archer in this spot?
I can't do it. I'm done. I'm done with all of these Sheffield. You ruined my bit. We were going to go to midfield, and I was going to say, are we playing Gustavo Hammer at 5,700? I'm absolutely like done with this team until they show me anything. Like, there's no value. I'm not martingaling this stuff with Sheffield United. Like, they are like absolutely dead on arrival to me. Like, unless they like show that they could be like a cohesive team moving forward, I just think they're going to get bullied all season, and you should just.
Do you think Adam would be selling us on Archer here? Look, he was all in on McBurney last time out. McBurney rewarded him with a nice little red card. They have no forwards except Archer.
Do you know who
Liverpool
Adam would be selling us on? 3,900 Benny Traore.
Is he going to start?
Adam has him in the lineup.
Yes, it's possible. Right, okay, I didn't see that. Him then, yeah. Can you click one of these Sheffield guys? I think we might have to be done with him.
I'm done with them. I've done that Gigabrains play the terrible team sub 4K forward, and they just almost always score 2 points. And sometimes they score a goal, and then it's just like, oh, I have 7 other lineup spots I have to get right. So it just feels really thin.
I played 15 lineups in the main GPP today. I had 3 really good Adebayo lineups.
So there you go.
I clicked it. I mean, maybe that's not quite as bad, but it seems close,
I was going to play Carlton Morris before he got scratched, but I mean, that's the difference between a 2-game slate and with weird pricing with different pricing dynamics in this one and a 4-game slate.
It's much different. 2-game slate. There's no one else to click. I just needed to fill a third team, so
yeah.
I suppose this is different. I'm just looking for, anyone else besides Chalk Jimenez.
Yeah. Well, and he's there if you want to avoid that chalk. So I think maybe
just Woods there.
5,800. I can't do it. That's too much.
That's tough.
How about Mateta at 5,500 if he starts? Now that is a good spend down option, in my opinion. At least a slightly more positive spot for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I could do Mateta.
All right, let's move on to the midfield spot. So, all right, Michael Olise at 10.3K. I can't fade Michael Olise in cash games. Maybe that's mentally weak. Maybe I can get a few decimal points of projection by switching some pieces around, and maybe I'm underestimating the Liverpool goal equity. Olise is just an animal in fantasy, and it's a matchup for Crystal Palace where they're playing against Bournemouth, I believe, who I do not think have a good defense. I mean, for whatever little that's worth. It just feels like if Olise is taking a monopoly of set pieces, playing as a home favorite, I'm just done thinking about it at that point, and I'll make the rest of the lineup work. Does that sound like a reasonable approach in cash? And what do you think about fading 16 points from Olise at a midfield spot in tournaments?
Oh, yeah, I'd be fine fading it in tournaments if he's just going to score 16. Yeah, just in general, are we worried about the minutes at all? 90 in back-to-back games. He went like 110 minutes when people thought he was going to get subbed off.
Yeah.
In like his second start back. I don't know, you said at the start congested fixtures.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't, I'm not really going to try to predict minutes or wouldn't let it play into my thoughts for cash games. I mean, yeah, Palace at home against Bournemouth seems like a pretty good spot, right? Yeah. Cash games, easy click.
Then for tournaments, are you maybe looking to play players who have like dual forward eligibility? You could play like Luis Diaz instead in a midfield spot. That's a pretty easy move to make. Or do any of these other midfielders sound interesting to you? Again, we have Szoboszlai who's being subbed off early. Tough to trust if that's the current rotation pattern. If you can't project 70 minutes from him, he'll shoot sometimes from distance, but I don't think he gets enough goals and enough set pieces to pay off frequently enough at that price. I'm quite interested in Karu Mitoma if he starts. Otherwise, it seems a little bit barren. I mean, do you trust Andreas Pereira at 70 minutes at 6,200? It's starting to get cheap enough where you might be able to eat up the minutes worries.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, if you were going to play, is Pereira not a cash play? You can't
I
afford
wanted to
it. Is
make him
he?
one.
I mean, it seems pretty cheap for the matchup, but if he's only going to play 60, 70 minutes, is it worth it? Maybe not. Yeah, I don't know. That's tough because the Pereira of old you would just jam in, but it's not really like that anymore.
Yeah, the Pereira of old, that's no question. We're playing him like last season's Andreas. But I mean, you're looking at, okay, at Liverpool, he did okay, but 62 minutes. 9 points against Wolves in 76 minutes. Again, a tough matchup against Villa. I don't know. Maybe if I adjust these sort of things for matchup, it's a pretty good spot for Fulham. Maybe it does make it compelling. Again, maybe this just makes a case in your cash games if you want to pay up for an Adingra, a Simicas, or a Pereira. I think it makes the case for just going down from Salah to Nunez, and I think it's justifiable because you'd be comparing a 2v2 of like Mo Salah and Lewis frickin' Cook versus having Andreas for 75 minutes in a good matchup, taking most of the set pieces, and then just taking Darwin Nunez. It's a bit of a trust the process type of play there, Ryan, but maybe you just have
Maybe,
to be mentally strong.
or maybe the fact that he didn't take pens, that he's not on pens anymore.
That's a pretty
Maybe
big
you
deal to me.
maybe you can just forget about him.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily forget about him, but to me, that having pens as a home favorite, like that's a pretty big deal. And I
Yeah.
think we can be pretty sure that Willian is on pens.
I mean, especially he made both of them, right? I didn't watch that game on
Yeah,
Monday.
yeah, he did. So like for
Oh,
sure.
he's on them then. They're not gonna.
Um, you mentioned Miedema. Yeah, I think he's a great tournament play. Have a lot of interest in Miedema. Have a little bit of interest in Tavernier for the same price. I mean, if you're going to be playing Palace pieces, which I probably will be. I think he's decent at low ownership.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. Not
There's not too much tempting in the mid range. I mean, you're looking at options like Wissa, who's playing as an underdog, so I don't want to prioritize that spot. Seems like Alex Iwobi has a more defensive role in this Fulham team. Again, I haven't been able to watch as much, so you can yell at me if I'm wrong. I always find it difficult to play like these, like in good spots for Liverpool, these like Curtis Jones types. I feel like the slate's a little bit too big to consider, just hoping that, more box to box type midfielders put up the huge fantasy scores. But playing anyone in that game environment, I think, is definitely justifiable. Um,
yeah, you could play Iwobi in tournaments for sure. He
I
had
see.
been playing more defensive at the start, but he was getting forward a bunch recently. He got
Mhm.
forward a lot against Wolves, scored 4 shots. Yeah, like he's cheap enough. Just Harry Wilson too. If he got the start for 5,300, you could take a chance on Harry Wilson in tournaments for sure. Um,
Yeah, I think that makes sense. But this is what kind of has me on a more barbelly construction. You're looking at a very iffy spot for Andreas not taking penalties at home. I mean, who profiles between Michael Olise and Lewis Cook? Again, I'm sorry I keep bringing up Lewis Cook, but he does take some corners at 3.6K. None of these guys really feel good as cash game options.
no, um, Cook Cook doesn't seem bad either. You're right. He takes some corners. Usually plays 90 minutes. Is there anyone in the mid range that, yeah, should be a priority over that? I'm not sure. Doesn't
Yeah,
seem like it.
yeah. Maybe you can look at Pereira's sub patterns and see if you can figure something out and take a look at the bench. But otherwise, I think that's kind of that's why I think the cash construction is the way it is. Any other thoughts on midfield? Do you want to, Ryan? Do you want to take a stab at this question? How is Liverpool away a good spot? Our friend Bear. Do you think Liverpool away to Sheffield United is indeed a good spot? Do you feel like you have to defend that?
Is he saying like Liverpool are bad away from home, so it's not a good spot?
I think he's
Or
worried
what?
about the away fragility.
I don't know. I think the matchup against Sheffield supersedes it, but like maybe you can factor in the new manager and tell yourself a story that Sheffield are going to show up at home, with the new manager. Could happen for the first 5 minutes, but they've just, I can't believe how bad they've been. I don't know. We keep saying it. So I think just have to trust it at this point. Liverpool have looked pretty good, at least from an attacking sense. So how are they not going to create a ton of chances?
Yeah, and to not be maybe so tongue in cheek about it, like I do think you can build tournament lineups where you just play two Brighton forwards and you just say the Brighton forwards are going to outscore the Liverpool guys, or like Liverpool substitutes score the goal. So I think there is some merit to looking at these other options and good spots, but I mean, it is a good spot for Liverpool, and if you fade, it's the less likely outcome. But I think you can still get enough points in certain game scripts. So I think that's just the way to look at it. I mean, if you think Liverpool's a bad spot, you need to just jam into this slate and print all the money after playing
yeah, I
really
was
well.
going to say, if this is a bad spot for Liverpool, it's going to be a great tournament for you.
Yeah, unless the Liverpool donks get there yet again. Let's take a look at defender. We have Trent Alexander-Arnold at 8,200. Ryan, are you worried about that price in this matchup? I know, again, I haven't been able to watch enough Liverpool. I know there's a lot of hemming and hawing early on. Is he going to play this like central defensive role? I think it's fine now. He does take some set pieces. He shoots. He's got enough goal equity. I think he spends more of his time on the flank. Is that a correct assessment? Like, are you worried about like role fragility in Trent being able to get forward and be active on the offense?
I mean, yeah, a little bit for 8,200.
Yeah.
Like no matter how good the matchup is at that price, look at his recent games. He's needed a goal, or else he's had what under 10 floor points.
Hmm.
I know it was don't, but I don't know. You look at all the games this season. I don't think like is his floor as high as it was when he was whipping in all those crosses?
Well, I can look
Probably
at the
not.
DFS trends tab for a moment if you're able to riff a little bit more.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I think you can fade him in tournaments.
Hmm.
I think like in like single entry stuff or cash or like he's normally going to be a good play, but there's plenty of times when he's just going to score like 10 points. And is
Hmm.
that going to be good enough for 8,200? Right? I mean, why can't, there's plenty of times when he's just going to have like 4 shots and 4 crosses and,
Yeah,
clean sheet and score 12 points or something, some shots assisted. I don't
that
know.
doesn't
But
pay
like
off an 8.2K tag.
right. Like, are there other good defenders on this slate?
I think there are, especially if Simicast starts, because I think he doesn't at $1,400 cheaper. He doesn't necessarily the floor can pay off a little bit more at that price tag, a little bit less opportunity cost. I have opened up the tool, so we only show the cheat sheet very often, but I mean, there's like a whole great suite of tools. If you go to the soccer DFS tab and you look at the DFS trends, you can filter by floor points, which like just removes goals, assists, and yellow cards. You can filter games started, and you can just see what the floor of everyone on Liverpool is. So you filter the Liverpool tab, and you take a look at Trent's floors, and we're talking about this removes clean sheet points, but it's 11, 9.8, 16.2, 7.6, 7.4, 11.4, like a 5.4 a bit ago. So if you're looking at sort of it's almost a Josh Kimmich type of situation, Ryan. Would that be inaccurate? Where he's a player who has this 10-point floor, but you really are going to rely on the goal. maybe you need that spectacular free kick goal. He's probably going to be scoring from distance more often than taking shots inside of the box. I guess that's something you can fact check if that's true or false. But yeah, is 11
Yeah,
points
it is
or enough?
it is a similar situation to like a Kimmich, right, in the spot.
Yeah,
Seems like Trent, I would say, has more goal and assist upside than Kimmich for sure. But
yeah,
yeah, the concept is similar for sure. Like he's not always going to pay off that $8,200 price tag, especially in tournaments when you know so many of these options are the 9 and 10K options are the best options, and it's tough to afford them if you play Alexander Arnold. You can get on different constructions without him.
yeah. I mean, Simicast has outfloored Alexander Arnold the past few games. You have a 13.4. You have two 13, close to 13-point floors right there. I should use this tool a little bit more often, actually, to help my my research. You see the most olive floors looking around 8 points, and how Darwin can sort of meet that type of floor. Again, going back to that cash game discussion, if you want to get into the 6K range. If you like looking at these tools and you think they could help you research, you should do rotowire.com/soccer trial. It's like $9 a month. This is like the best value in soccer DFS. I'm convinced that we offer the best value. These videos are free. The Discord is popping. If you were in RotoWire 2 years ago, the Discord was quiet. Like now, like interleague, I open it up and I'm missing like 150 messages. And a lot of regulars from the lobby have been joining the Discord, which is really fun to see. I don't know. I just don't think you're going to get a better value for your time. And I feel quite passionate about this. So if you need to be persuaded, like send me a DM or something on Discord or on Twitter. I'd be happy to sell it. And, you know, 2 day free trial, rotowire.com/soccer trial. Join the movement. All right.
That was a good sell.
That was a good sell. I'm feeling passionate today. I don't know. It just
Can
saves
you
so much time. Like, how do people find set pieces, Ryan? Like, you go on SofaScore and look at heat maps and have like 30 tabs open. Like, show like at least like a little bit of respect for your time, and like it's all just in one place. Like, do I want to know what the heck have Brighton done with set pieces? I click any name, Pascal Gross. All right, and then I have a table down here of all of the set piece crosses and shots for Brighton across all the season, across all competitions. Like, I've saved you 5 minutes every slate and multiply that times every slate. I, I mean, just for simple quality of life. And that's not even including all the other tools like Team Trends that show you the minutes and stuff. Anyways, I'm sounding like a used car salesman. Let's talk. Let's go back to the the DFS stuff. Ryan, are there any cheaper defenders you like? So if you're not going to play Trent, you can spend that money on more expensive forwards. Who do you like? Who's maybe like 4K and below, or maybe there's some mid-priced action that you like?
I was gonna say, how about the American for 5,800?
Anthony at 5,800. Do you think that's a play, or is that a little too expensive?
I don't know. You see, he had 13 interceptions and 20 fantasy points against Liverpool last game.
13
How about
interceptions.
13 interceptions?
How is that possible?
He's got an assist in 3 straight games. He scored in both of the United States' most recent games, I believe. I mean, the kid's just on fire. I don't know. It's tough for 50. It's tough click at 5,800, but can he equal Trent? I think so. Sometimes he can. It's a
Sometimes
good
you.
home matchup. So I'm not opposed to doing that.
Hmm.
Like if especially if you're playing Jimenez, I mean, the assist has got to come from somewhere. He's one of the more likelier ones. You could say that if Jimenez is going to score.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that strategy. Yeah, I don't know. If we have Joe Gomez starts over Simicas, I don't know. Do you consider that for 4,400? That seems kind of risky to me. I don't know.
I think it's a little bit risky. He's gotten good fantasy scores, but I don't know how much of that has been like reliant on defensive peripherals. I mean, maybe I can just pencil in 13 interceptions for him as well. But probably not when Liverpool are dominating possession. I got a little bit skittish
Actually,
on minutes.
sorry. Yeah, no, I was skittish on minutes, but maybe you just like pencil him in for. He's went 90 in both his last 2 starts, right?
Hmm.
At right back. That's good enough for me against Sheffield. So yeah, I guess I take it back. Like you just You just got to click it and pray.
It's a black box, Ryan. He's a fullback on a good team that's playing against Sheffield. The team doesn't even have to be that good, mind you. Like Vitinho on Burnley, I think got like 10 floor points over the weekend. So
Yep.
at 4,400, I think you'd consider him. I'd consider him in cash if he started. You're talking about $5,800 Anthony Robinson, but you can do the what's this meme? It's like, Mom, we already have that at home. The $4,000 Timothy Castagna. That would be an okay consolation prize. Again, just a favorite fullback at home. He's been a fairly attacking player for Fulham as well, I think. So that is worth a shout. Um, any interest in any of these cheaper guys? Go off.
I mean, I kind of have some interest in your boy Joachim Anderson for 3.6K.
That's Adam's boy, the Joa Constrictor.
I mean, at least he's not 4,500 anymore. He was over 5K, I think, on one of the slates.
Yeah.
So no, like I'm half kidding, but I guess I don't mind punting, with a center back,
especially in
your keeper.
In a tournament, just because I'm saving so much and I'll get a slightly different roster construction. Like, if I have Michael Olise, I'll play these $3,300 Mark Gahey's along with him. I don't know if I'm as sold on that correlation. It's sometimes the set piece taker with the center back feels like the NFL version of play the kick returner in the defense to try to get the double dip. So I don't know if I'm fooling myself on the correlation ever, but at least when the players are cheap, I think it's worth considering. And, combined with clean sheet equity, Joachim Anderson, he is a pretty good passer of the ball. He can accidentally fall into an assist if things go right. No, when they're that cheap, it's fine.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's right. Now we're like touting center backs, but he's at least has a higher floor than other center backs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And if you need someone, Ibrahima Konate, 3,400. He is too cheap playing for a favorite, so I could see him getting used if you just need that extra $600 or something. Like you can't afford. If you can't afford Castagna, I think it's fine to play Konate. All right. Any other thoughts on defender, or I think I have to tell people who I want to play at goalkeeper. I am on.
Have you been getting it right lately?
No, I've been getting it horribly wrong. I did get Schlager right last week over the Champions League. He completely bailed me out. Just 19 points. I don't think a lot else went right for me, but it was kind of a disaster UCL slate anyways. But I played Raya, and I was yelled at for not telling people that I was spending up at goalkeeper. I think like the last 8 times I've spent up at goalkeeper in Premier League, they've conceded. But the current goalie, and I will update this in the Discord, I have Mark Flecken right now to make everything work. Do you have any goalkeeper thoughts about this one, or just play whoever fits?
I don't mind playing Fodderingham in tournaments if you're only gonna even if you're gonna play, even if you have like Salah and Trent as or I think this is a slate where he could allow a goal and be okay. Or 2 goals. I mean, sure, if Liverpool take enough shots.
Do you think they're a team that can shoot enough that he can have one of these, like he concedes 3 goals but gets 6 saves, 6 points at 3,600? That sounds all right to me. I don't know.
I mean, yes, I do, because Liverpool. Yeah, you just feel like Liverpool are going to take a ton of shots here.
Yeah.
I was fine with that. They have like multiple players who like shooting from distance too. I mean, Soboslai loves to rip shots. So does Alexander-Arnold. Even Salah likes to take shots that aren't going to go in sometimes. Yeah, they're a good team. We were talking about last time, like what Arsenal being a bad team and City tough too for that sometimes. I don't mind playing keepers against Liverpool. We've seen it plenty of times. They get scored on a couple times and still put up a good score. Other than that, I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't really have too much of a take on keeper.
My one question is that I wonder, there's been a few times where there's been like a really disgusting goalkeeper like Fodderingham, and then I play like the Brentford keeper. So I get like, 20% win odds added to that. You're not really counting, you're not really playing for the clean sheets. I mean, if that happens, that's just when you get bailed out. I just wonder if it's mentally weak. I'm spending 600 extra, and I don't know if I'm necessarily getting as much save upside. I feel like when Sheffield are just going to have shots rain down on them, maybe sometimes you just have to accept the -4s and the -6s and just say that the extra salary was worth it. And he does pay off at 6 points enough. I mean, we're happy when any punt goes off for 6 points. You pay a $3,500 defender, they get 6 points. You're like, that's fine. So maybe
I mean, this is
I'd be
like
like,
an all-time question.
yeah,
This is like an all-time. I've asked myself this question for years. I still do. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like
I think it might be bad in tournaments,
I
some tournaments in some contexts, but I
because
think in cash I just have to just eat the -4 sometimes. That doesn't happen as often as it feels like it happens, I
you
think.
do have those negative outcomes. Yeah, which is tough to. I guess it's tough to put a value on
Yeah.
how bad those are for you versus the times when the you can use the 600 versus the times when he just gets a lot of saves and scores more than your other keeper. I don't know, man. Like mentally weak. That's funny. I've thought that to myself about the same, yeah, this same situation. I'm not
Yeah.
sure I'd go there, but I know what you mean.
Well,
Sometimes it seems that way.
yeah. Well, no matter what happens, Adam, I need you to clip this, and I'll let everyone know if I play Fodderingham, and then you can put over the Curb Your Enthusiasm, boom, 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 music to it, and then
Yeah,
showcase me in third to
when he
last
scores
place in
like
the double ups.
-8,
Does a
please
full
do
bright
that.
samba. Yeah,
Please do that.
Adam, put the interns on it. I know we have a whole army of them. All right, Ryan, this is a fun show. I really think there's a lot of ways that you can go on this slate, and a lot of ways to tinker even with a studs and duds construction. So should be fun. We'll probably see some surprises with lineups. And I don't know. Anything else for the people, Ryan, other than a good luck?
Yeah, I don't think so. Just good luck and good luck to me and good luck
Yeah.
to you. I mean,
Yeah. You know
we
what?
just
Let Ryan win
we
one
need
of these.
yeah, it's been too long. I need a win.
All right, everyone. So
All
settle
right,
for
yeah, good
second
luck
place so Ryan
everybody.
can win. See you, everyone.
Thanks, Jack.